indicated before. Mr. Speaker, I'm expecting that you will protect me as you will protect the alleged person, or the person who alleges. I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, to the bottom of it. But to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that this member admitted to interfering, never, Mr. Speaker. Isn't that alleging a fact? Isn't that stating a fact? That I did something that I did not do? I can't sit here and allow, it doesn't matter what the press says. I never said that I interfered with anybody. And so, Mr. Speaker, that's what I expect to be protected from.
Member for Fox Hill?
The point I'm making is then the member for Kalani then goes on to quote from a newspaper, which under our rules says he then adopts as his own words, to allege in here that as if the truth of the contents of what is being quoted from the newspaper. So again, it is making an allegation of improper behavior on the part of the member for Michael.
Member for Fox, are you completed?
Yes, that was the point I was making, is that when you go and adopt the words now, and you make the allegation in here, the imputation, again, is that there's some wrongdoing on the part of this member, and no such adjudication has been made. A lot of things are in the public domain. Yes, there is a public discussion, but no imputation should be made on the character of the Member of Parliament for Michael under these rules. None. By artifice, by indirect means, by quoting from newspapers, none. The matter is being investigated, should be left there. And what is going to happen, Mr. Speaker, is that every time some improper motive is placed before us, this side is going to pop up and say, we object. We object. And surely that must not be the purpose of the member for Kalani. I'd indicated this House needs a quorum to operate. If we withdraw from here, there can be no quorum. Then there'll be silence. Now, I'm not threatening anything. I'm saying that you ought to conduct yourselves in comity, and this is not the place to raise this.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Member for Kalani, the first parts of your communication or your statement that speaks to the alleged record is certainly in dispute, and rightfully so. The majority, the balance of your statement, as I see it, speaks to the Prime Minister's commentary this morning. So, in order that we effectively move forward in doing the work that we've been called to do, there's obvious much objection, as you can tell. You must be skillful in your wording, and I think as far as we are concerned, you have been accorded the opportunity, and the chair would just ask that you keep that in mind as you go forth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will advance my communication to that section. The minister's alleged conduct was serious enough for him to be relieved of his portfolio as minister responsible for local government, pending the results of the police investigation, as has been announced in this place today. However, with all due respect, this half measure is absolutely insufficient. The fact is that the member for Michael has admitted at the very least to conduct which calls into question his suitability for public office. He acted as a sitting minister, and as such, he should be relieved of all his responsibilities, not only one aspect.
This member for Michael made no such admission. No such admission. That's simply not the fact. The fact is he made no such admission.
Never.
Speaker.
Member for Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
So bad, get him another way.
I believe I am familiar with the voice of the member for Michael. And I heard on a recording on a local radio station him admitting to having called the administrator. I heard that with these ears of mine. I know his voice.
Mr. Speaker, the member for Michael,
Member for Fox Hill.
minister responsible for local government. Communications between public officers and their ministers are confidential. They are not ordinarily the subject of any public discussion. I don't, whatever you said about him call, I'm saying to you that the minister has a right to call any member of his department. What happened in the conversations, that's another matter. But to say simpliciter that because he called, you heard with your own ears, because he called, that means some fault on his part. I'm sorry, that doesn't arise.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to differ with the member for Fox Hill. The minister recording that I heard, he spoke to discussing the matter in question with the local government administrator who was acting as a magistrate. He admitted to discussing the matter with him.
I'm saying, sir, that the minister can call anyone who is a member of his department. What you conclude after that call, the interpretation of what is said, does not amount to an admission of wrongdoing, which is the conclusion that the member has come to and is now stating as a fact in this body. That's the only problem. You can describe all of those things, but to come to the conclusion that there's some malfeasance as a result of that does not compute. That's the point.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, he,
Member for
Mr.
Central,
Speaker,
and then we
in his
move on.
conversation with the administrator, as admitted by him via the recording that I heard, he gave details of the discussion. He went so far as to say that the police officer who was offended was also the prosecutor.
No, sir. No, sir. Not through this artifice. Do not use this artifice to get in the public domain what should not be in this place. Not in this place. Not in this place. Not in this time.
Was offended.
Not in this place. Not in this time. 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 No, sir. This is not the place for that. This is not the place for that.
Member for Kalani. Could you wrap this up, please?
He acted as sitting minister, and as such, he should be relieved of all his responsibilities, not only one aspect. The independence of the judiciary is a cardinal pillar of our constitutional democracy and is also fundamental to the economic well-being of every Bahamian, since no one, Bahamian or non-Bahamian, would be prepared to invest their money in a country where the judiciary can, with apparent impunity, receive instructions, orders, or even legal advice from a cabinet minister. This House, as the first bastion of democracy, must be prepared to demand and to impose the most stringent standards of conduct in defense of our Constitution and our democracy. Nothing less will do. The government must require the immediate resignation of the member for Michael, Mr. Alfred Gray, from cabinet forthwith. Nothing else will do. Nothing less will suffice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Foxhill.
Statement be struck from the record, Mr. Speaker. The statement is offensive, insulting, abusive, scandalous, vexatious, and draw improper motives and impute improper motives to the member for Michael. As the fallback position, there are two objections that were made during the course of his statement. The last of which was his adopting some words from a newspaper, which are now sitting on the record here as having this member admitting to some fault or some malfeasance. That, at the very least, must be struck from the record. He made no such admission, yet the member did not withdraw the statement. I believe that ought to be withdrawn. The problem with this is going through this line by line, sentence by sentence, as a whole cloth. It is so redolent of abuse and improper motives that the way to deal with this is to strike the entire thing from the record. I so request.
Move. You so move.
No, I'm making a request of the Speaker. I'm making a request of the Speaker.
Very well. The chair smiles. The chair smiles. There's much chatter from the gallery, not from the gallery, from members from their seats, with respect to what the Speaker says and how he ought to be received. I hear the member for Foxhill very clearly, but it would certainly be very well. And the chair will take under advisement what the member for Foxhill say, and here's the ruling: to examine the transcript of the message by the member for Kalani, and from that transcript make a ruling, a final ruling from that standpoint. But until I have an opportunity to view the transcript, the message will be allowed. As
I'm sorry, Mr.
said.
Speaker, you said the message will be allowed?
Yes.
So the press will be blaring with these headlines tomorrow, that this member has admitted some fault? No, we're concerned about the community, the public community. The press, that's how people get information. And what is said can't be taken back.
What is printed cannot be taken back. Look at it, and the press should not print or otherwise repeat it. Because when they have printed it, if you came up with something that would be expunged, Mr. Speaker,
Members,
It would have already been out there. So if you have to, Mr. Speaker, on
Members.
point of privilege. Yes, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying, on a point of privilege, Mr. Speaker, if the Speaker is going to look at a transcript, until the Speaker has a chance to look at the transcript and take out what the Speaker deems unparliamentary or then, Mr. Speaker, everything should wait that position, and there should be no publication of it until you take out what you think is right or wrong. Otherwise, it does prejudice the whole statement, because you don't know what you're going to find that is worthy of taking out.
there are times during a communication or a statement by members in this place where we find ourselves having to examine what was said a few days later, hours later. We've been dealing with this matter now since about 3:30. It's now almost 5:30. This has been almost 2 hours. And the member has been on and off his feet, line by line, and each time the members on the government side had an issue, it was dealt with as fairly as possible and dealt with line by line. For us to come now, for the chair to come now and remove the entire statement, it would certainly be a mockery of this office. It's just.
To admit the entire statement is also a mockery, when you don't know what you will find.
Members responded. Members responded. Who had an issue with it responded, and you were heard. The same way the member for the leader of the opposition spoke, members on the governing side spoke and were heard. And in my humble opinion, I think that has been a fair assessment on how this has been handled. I recognize the difficulty. The chair is at great pains at times in making a decision like this. However, because of the overriding principle of democracy and the voice of the minority being heard, the chair was obliged to hear. So this House could determine what it wants to do going forward, and the chair will abide by any decision this House makes, and whatever that may be. The chair takes a stand. This matter is over.